Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Sanger with us. He's one of the co-founders of Wikipedia, folks. And you know what? And technology is incredible. It really is. Technology is a wonderful thing when it's in the hands of people who don't want to use it for ultimate control and manipulation. Right? That's kind of the details. That's the kind of the takeaway here. So in this discussion, it's a little bit hard to know where we leave off and where we want to start with this discussion. Lance, I'm kind of convinced this issue is who controls this is really gonna own the day, and the hesitation I have is the open source world basically says, hey, we'll give you what we give. The closed source world, as you put it, the universities, the others with databases or corporations or whatever, their information is not used to train the bot. So the bot's very sideways. And the only reason I joked and said that it's trained by Sam Bushman is because although it doesn't have all the libraries that you mentioned, from the Vatican onto the legal side to the, we can keep going. But I've been on the air for more than 30 years. I've probably got more in the public realm of what I've said and thought and written and done than almost anybody on the planet, because I've been in radio and TV for so long, hours a day, every day for literally 30 years. I mean, I don't know how much content they have from me, but my point is it's overwhelmingly programmed in favor of people like me in many ways, or not really Sam Bushman. The point is other huge leaders like Bill Gates with agendas, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. We can keep going. Larry, how does that affect the reality that we're facing today?
It affects it hugely. I mean, there's a few different aspects here. I mean, if indeed there's certain people whose work is widely available, often used to train, LLMs, AIs, then they will be, and unless we're very careful, and the AIs will be biased as a result. There's no question about that. I am quite sure that there are some people who are annoyed at just how good LLMs are at handling traditional Orthodox Christianity because of the amount of public domain theology.
The plethora of information.
Yes, but going forward, that's not going to be the problem. Going forward, the whole question is going to be what sorts of materials are going to be reflected in something like ChatGPT.
And then Lance, to further his point, if they take Sam Bushman, who have a big influence, they've got a huge body of work out there. If they shadow ban me and shut me down and manipulate and minimize what I have to say, might the bots say that's not significant enough of a trend to even trend or to be counted? Am I going to be left out? There's going to be a void? These questions are real.
Let's take it a step further. Let's take it even a step further. Let's say that I want to run a negative campaign against Larry Sanger, and I go out and either create or get access to multiple open source websites. And I put one sentence in there that Larry Sanger is anti-beef. And I put this on all these open source products. Now, is AI going to go up and scrape that and say, well, Larry Sanger's been an open advocate of not supporting the beef industry? Again, I'm making this stuff up, but now
I'd create an AI picture, Lance. I'd create an AI photo, a deep fake photo. It would show me and Larry eating a burger together. What do you think of that?
Exactly.
Eating a big old steak together.
But
now
the
what?
point is, now you could have, because we see this campaign, right? They're using bot farms right now. You see it sometimes that the bot farms, if they're hired by the left or they're hired by an NGO or a super PAC, it doesn't matter. You see it happen where all of a sudden a post will come out. They don't like Larry Sanger's 9 theses on Wikipedia, and somebody decides to spend money on a bot attack. Now all of a sudden social media is full of all kinds of stuff trying to attack Larry. We could do the same thing if AI is only going to use open source to validate that as their resource. Then that's the difficulty, because again, somebody can run a negative campaign. They did it against Donald Trump. They've done it against me. They've done it against Larry. They've done it against you, Sam. I'm sure if we investigated, there might be more people out there doing it than we actually realize, because there's definitely out there.
Rolling Stone wrote an article and admitted all about me, man, what they do and play games. I mean, they're just full of, it's just wow.
And the point is,
the problem is, do they get greater credibility than I get when it comes to information, right, Larry? Some of these chat bots and things like that, when they train, they decide who's more of a quote authority or authoritarian kind of a figure, and that's kind of what they go with too, right?
Yeah, I think it's true. A lot of how the LLMs work are essentially a black box, and one of the big things that makes them a black box is we don't know actually what the full list of their training data is, and I think that that's going to be kept as a corporate secret. And even
It'll
if
be
we
like the
did,
Coke recipe and kind of like the credit scores. We don't have a clue.
Yeah.
sorry.
Credit scores. He said just
Oh,
like
We don't,
right,
we
right.
don't know
it's
we
the
don't know the
magic
formula
of
for credit scores or
what's the
Coke, do we?
formula,
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right.
I
Yeah.
know.
But
Yeah.
that's frightening, right? Because it's only as good as the sources it has available to do the homework in. And that's
Yep.
my
And hold
argument.
on, and on the guidance that it's given by whoever runs or controls the model. At some point, you got to, for example, if Sam says that Larry loves beef, and Lance says Larry hates beef, who's the authority here? Well, obviously, everybody knows Lance is the
Of
authority,
course it's me. I
right?
mean, there's no question about that.
Well,
No, but isn't that the reality though that I'm speaking of, that a lot of people don't really understand, Larry? That it
well,
depends on who's kind of running the deal.
it's predictive, right? So the idea is the way that LLMs work. It tries to predict what the next word in a sentence would be. This is the way that's usually explained. So, if the sentence begins, Larry Sanger's views on beef are, and then, positive or negative, it will, as it were, have equally weighted, if that's what it looks like in the training data, equally weighted evidence on both sides. Then the LLM will, or the chatbot will say that in response to your question. So, I mean, yeah, but it doesn't
And
have to.
unless it's trained like Google to besmirch Sam Bushman, then it will
Yeah,
basically say, "Hey,
that's right. That's right.
Sam's a hater of everything, including Larry and beef and Lance and everything else."
Exactly.
They
I don't know
they
why. I don't know why we did this show, Larry. We've got to be out of our mind with as much as Sam hates us.
No, so here's
they
the. Go ahead, Larry.
they can put their fingers on the scales in lots of different ways. So basically, there's a routine that they can go through where they take your question, and then they wrap it in a lot of other um, background information that they want to give to the LLM, and then they give the whole thing to the LLM. And so the idea is there's this background information that they can supply, and they can basically cause the LLM to have certain
Yeah,
biases,
they
or
spiked the
just
punch.
to resolve certain biases too. So it's actually really complicated, obviously, and I think we will all understand better how they work. Um,
All right,
you know,
so let me ask you this. Biblically speaking, then, straight
yeah,
out, the
yeah,
Tower of Babel was they wanted to build a tower to get to heaven. And I know in our day we look at that and go, what kind of retards think they can do that? You can't see heaven. How are you going to get there? But there was more to it at the time than that. I think a lot of it was symbolic in nature. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that the idea is that you can't be above God. And
that's
do you think the modern reality of that is these LLMs, is the AI world, is quantum computing, to where is it seeking to be above God? Is that the real underneath quest, do you think?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you should say that because this is something that is said about transhumanism generally. There's a long history in theology of thinking about how human beings can usher in the new creation. That's really what's required. That Jesus isn't really going to come down.
I say
That
they're on
we are
crack.
going to create the new heavens and the new earth ourselves. I think that's not true. That's wrong.
Sure.
But yes, I think that a lot somebody like Elon Musk is motivated to a great extent by that sort of transhumanist idea that ultimately we, as technologists, somehow are going to be able to change human nature, to change the way that society operates, and usher in a heaven on earth. I think it's just wrong, and ultimately a recipe for disaster, as such things often are.
We could have the proper handle on it, ladies and gentlemen, if we realize that there is something greater than us. Call it God, call it deity, call it whatever you choose. That's keeping things real, Larry, is the quintessential takeaway that I want from this interview for everybody to think about. Thank you so much. Give out your website one more time.
LarrySanger.org, and also the Knowledge Standards Foundation. Just look it up.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for Lance Migliaccio, thebigbig.com. Check out his incredible work on Rumble and X and even on Liberty News Radio. Check it all out. I'm Sam Bushman. We are syndicated by the Loving Liberty Radio Networks and Liberty News Radio, lovingliberty.net, libertynewsradio.com. I am Sam Bushman, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.